After years and years, and it feels like years of waiting, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is finally almost here. The latest entry in Nintendo's venerable adventure franchise is releasing on March 3rd as the final Wii U game from Nintendo and the marquee launch title for the Wii U's successor, the Nintendo Switch. So here's everything you need to know about the title before you go. If you'll remember, Nintendo announced Breath of the Wild in 2013, and it was planned to be released on the Wii U in 2015, but it was delayed multiple times, and Nintendo finally ended up releasing it on both the Wii U and the Switch. As is tradition, Breath of the Wild is set in Hyrule and follows, well, of course, Link as he's waking up from a 100-year-old slumber and is guided by a mysterious voice to beat Calamity Ganon. While all of that is pretty standard stuff for the franchise, the gameplay and mechanics of Breath of the Wild will be a little bit of a departure from what you might know already in the series. For one, there will be a big open world environment, and when you say how big, well, by some estimates it will be something like 12 times larger than the overworld for Twilight Princess. Trust us, it's big, and it will be kind of post-apocalyptic as Link is reorienting himself to a world that has already been devastated by an unknown event. Given the vast scope of the open world, the game encourages you to explore at your own pace. You'll be able to play through its dungeons in any order, and harkening back to the first Zelda, you'll basically be dropped into the game's open world with very little instruction or hand-holding. There you are, you're awake, now go have fun. As Link, you'll be able to jump and climb over almost any surface while also collecting weapons, shields, clothing, and food. As is common in the series, you'll discover that some items have multiple uses, so you ever wanted to snowboard on a shield? Now's your chance. Breath of the Wild has already won a lot of praise for its beautiful scenery and vast overworld, and all of that giant landscape appears to be playable. If you see a spot in the game in the far, far distance, so far away it's kind of misty and cloudy, yeah, you can interact with it. You can get there. You see that cliff? You can probably climb it. You can even skip all the dungeons if you want and head straight to the final boss if you really want to. I don't know why you would, but you could. Producer Eiji Aonuma said at E3 that you can beat the game without completing the story. So it's a very free-form experience. Weather will also play a factor. If you're up high in a mountain and it starts to snow, your health will be affected. You'll need to stay warm by either standing by a fire or eating spicy food or do something sensible like wear warm clothing. Cooking also plays a big part in the game. You can combine ingredients to create health power-ups and stamina boosts, and other dishes, like we said, can keep you warm on cold nights. The loot system will also be different from past Zelda games. You'll be able to find various types of clothing, each with its own armor rating and resistance stats, and you'll get more weapons than ever before. We've seen Link wielding not just swords, but heavy hammers, axes, spears, even a fire rod. But all weapons lose durability and eventually will break, so don't get too attached. You'll basically want to wear warm clothing in the snow, lighter clothing in hotter climates. Oh, and there's a heavy plate armor too, but you better take it off if it rains because a lightning strike will ruin your day, and we've already seen in videos that have been released that lightning is more attracted to your shiny, shiny armor. Combat will also be a little bit of a change from what you might be used to. You'll constantly be swapping weapons because of those durability issues. You can also throw weapons at enemies and attack them in rapid fashion in flurry rush mode. You can also sneak around enemies to set up stealth kills. There are also new varieties of ways to kill bad guys like, I don't know, rolling boulders on them from above, or blowing up explosive barrels, or even lighting the grass on fire and hoping it spreads in the right direction and doesn't burn down the entire plane. You also have something called the Sheikah Slate, which functions as a map and lets you create waypoints. It can also be upgraded as you progress in the game, and eventually you'll be able to make bombs with it and even stop time, so very powerful. Now, as for the game's plot, Link awakens from a long slumber while suffering from amnesia. He's guided by a mysterious voice to Hyrule, which is now completely pretty much ruined. He learns that Calamity Ganon has been sealed in Hyrule Castle for years, but he's still growing in power, and Link must stop him before he breaks free. One more little tidbit, the game also is the first mainline Zelda game that will include voice acting, but it's limited to certain characters such as Princess Zelda and the Great Deku Tree. As for the overall playtime, we don't have any real estimates, but it is pretty clear there's a ton to do in the game. According to a leaked strategy guide, Breath of the Wild will feature 120 shrine mini-dungeons, 76 side quests, and 900 Korok seed puzzles. But if that isn't enough content for you, Breath of the Wild will also include DLC, making it the first mainline Zelda game to do so. The game will offer a season pass immediately upon launch for $19.99. That season pass will give you access to 2 sets of DLC for the game, which are due out sometime in the summer and the holidays. When players buy the season pass, 3 new treasure chests will appear in the game's Great Plateau area. One will have a shirt with a Nintendo Switch logo that Link can wear, which is very meta. The other 2 will deliver useful items. Now, as for the DLC itself, the first pack will include a Cave of Trials challenge, a new hard mode, and a new feature for the in-game map, according to DualShockers. The second DLC pack will include a new dungeon and a new original story. But the internet hasn't taken this news very well, with some complaining that Nintendo, like everyone else, has finally succumbed to the lure of DLC. Like it or not, it is part of the game. It is a little bit unusual in that you can't buy the 2 DLC packs separately. You do have to buy the season pass all or nothing. As for the differences in console versions, if you're playing Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, Nintendo says it will mostly be the same. According to Nintendo, the main difference is that Breath of the Wild runs at 900p while docked on Switch, but only 720p on Wii U. Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé also said that it loads faster on the Switch and there's less visual pop-in. Now, one last thing about this game, if you're a digital-only gamer, please be aware that this game is 13.4 gigabytes, so that'll take up a pretty big chunk of the Switch's 32 gigabytes of internal storage, or, well, you don't actually get all 32 anyway, you get 26, so you'll probably be looking to buy a micro SD card sooner rather than later. If you're keen to see the game in action, we will be doing a couple of gameplay live streams and showing some of that here on The Know, so make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to our channel and you'll be able to catch that on launch day. If you want to keep an eye on other games that are coming out, see if they're any good, see what they're all about, make sure you check out other videos in our Know before you go series.
The history of the royal family of Hyrule is also the history of the Calamity Ganon.